Hey everyone, welcome to the Articulated Points Live. Today we are going to be building this pocket speed cycle for Snake Eyes. It's from the Furai model line from Flame Toys, being distributed by Bandai. As you can see, it's still in its original plastic. I haven't opened it up yet at all. But all the sides of the bottom there, so you can see the illustration goes onto the bottom and the sides. Yeah. Previously, for a talking point episode, I built the Snake Eyes figure, who is intended to go with the motorcycle. As you can see, he is a little bit smaller than a classified. So if you're trying to use this motorcycle for your classified, he's going to look a little squat. Beyond that, here we go. And let's see something. There we go. So I picked this up on discount. So yeah, these didn't sell very well. You might be able to find it still for less than retail price. Beyond that, let's get ready to put it together. Move my tools out of the way, set this down in the camera view, and then we'll switch focus here. Yeah, there we go. All right. So if this is anything you need, paint, might need glue. I've just got some super glue gel here that I use. I just, it's not model glue, but it doesn't get all over my hands when I use it. So I take what I can get. All right. Open it up. Frame this properly so we get a good reveal. All right, there's our instructions. Oh, it does come with decals. Okay, 3 of them. And we have all our sprues, which is why we have the trusty sprue cutter. All right, looks like we have a caps, and is that the seat? I'm thinking, yeah, it's a seat. I think maybe other parts of the car. I'm going to stop trying to guess what these parts are because I am not a motorcycle mechanic, so I'm just going to get things wrong. I'm just going to grab them apart and pull them out. All right. As you can see in the content section, there's not a whole lot of sprues to this, but a decent, healthy amount. There we go. Fit them all on the screen here. I don't know if we can. At least the bags. 4 bags, not including the 5th bag with the instructions and decals. You can see 3 stickers, not many. Where is the Samoflange? Barking Fridge, your guess is as good as mine. All right. Looks like 42 steps in all. Oh, and there's spots on the motorcycle to put all of his guns. That's cool. I did not bring all of them, so it won't be as filled out as it could be, but nice to know they're available. We'll set these over to the side until we need them. Feel free to ask questions as we go along. Otherwise, I'm just going to be assembling a terrible amount of self-narration that would even start to bother me after a while. Just open these up from the plastic. C2 is our first part needed. C2. All right, and we're off. So if you didn't join me for the last live stream I did where I assembled a Haunted Mansion model, I'd just like to say I am not a great model maker. So I do appreciate these Bandai flame model, all these types of kits where they're actually fairly straightforward, don't require a whole lot of skill on my end. And still make pretty decent looking stuff afterwards. So it looks like I have some sort of talent, you know? These are flush starter. Yes, they are sprue kit cutters, so they are angled on one side but flat on the other. Got these from Hobby Lobby. And max 1 millimeter diameter for copper wire. They aren't joking. Do not use these to cut metal, because I tried that on a previous one with just a metal earth model kit, and one of these just broke off after a few cuts. Thankfully, it didn't fly off into my face or anything. It just kind of, but these are not designed for metal. Is this really how it's supposed to go? Okay. Okie dokie. That's E. They all look the same at the start. E1. All right. And by the way, thank you for being here, Patrick. It is nice to have my channel partner, at least some form of present. Keep an eye out. Yeah, pretty impressive, I think, once it's all out in the open. Reminds me of the days when I sat on the living room floor and tore open a G.I. Joe vehicle to snap it together. I did a lot of snap type models back then as well. Barking Fridge, you are better talented at that than I. I tried a few snap type kits, especially considering my brother seemed to have a handle of those right away. But he was older than me, so there was probably an advantage he had that I didn't. The instructions show it looking flush, but it looks like it's meant to be a little recessed there. Later on, I have had a little more success making snap type models back in the late 2000s. That looked pretty decent when they were said and done, but don't have those anymore. They just kind of ended up in the trash. I do have an X-Wing over here. This is a Bondi model kit X-Wing. So, you know, I think this one looks pretty decent, but then it comes down to all the detailing that the decals added, which is, you know, fair amount. Could have used it on more than just the engines here, but I think it looks pretty decent. Oh yeah, I also painted up the pilot and the droid, so I can use paint. And it fell. I'll have to deal with that later. All right. Looks like we're starting on the engine now. B1, that's the big guy. Ten. Nine and 3, just those two. Yeah, I don't know if it is showing up on camera, but these little tabs have the numbering of the parts on it, so, you know, fairly easy to figure out what you're supposed to be cutting out. And much like snap tie kits, you don't really need glue for these, but oop, camera. All right. Ooh, I think I did that wrong. Yep, no, I'm supposed to clip it there. Well, now I know why I keep glue around. Well, that'll be tenuous. Didn't start painting until your teenage years. Well, that's good because back when I was starting to paint as a kid, all we had were Testors enamel paints, and they are nowhere near as forgiving as the acrylic. So my painted stuff looked terrible, just bad. This part. Oh, cut off this bit. Alrighty. Maybe that was going to haunt me. Where do you peg into? Right there. The spot in the right place. It won't look too out of place. Patrick says parting with the leftovers from shoes. I am convinced that they could be useful later when I really just have to throw them away. Yeah. We'll figure out what to do with those later. They really are useless, but they're kind of fun in telling the story of assembling the thing. But again, who are you going to tell that story to? Especially when I have the video here of me assembling it. The story's told. There we go. Ha. So like that. Okay. So I think in the end, it won't really be that noticeable that I snipped off too much. And then I also want to keep my snake eyes in the box that now has time. It'll just rattle around in there, but that's where it belongs. Okay, this is gonna be a little tricky. At some point, I do plan to pick up the other sets in this: the Storm Shadow, his motorcycle, and the Ninja Striker. Ninja Striker is the one I really kind of want to try and play around with because that's, you know, it'd be fun to see how that plays out. There we go. Ah, there it is all together. Great. You really can't tell I snipped it too far. 5 minutes to get to that point. Okay. C2. Probably should have a better way of organizing this, but who cares? On screen here, and I got to fit everything into the frame. Okay. 2 and 10. Being that these are flat cutter, they always got to be cognizant of which way the flat end is. Make sure that's the part that's going up against the model piece. Got to notice the last moment a lot of times. I want to say that's how it goes. You really should not be putting me in charge of mechanical engineering. The pedals. Look at that. All right. That is the engine unit done. Now it's the steering unit. 6, 13, and 14 from here. Are you at all tempted to add color, or are you trying to adhere to the finished product on the box? I am just going to go. It shows where the red parts are already. We got this dull red plastic for the seat, and we have these chromed red plastic for the hubs. And then we have these 3 decals to add some more color. But other than that, yeah, just going with what the model kit shows. So basically following the instructions as written to see what it looks like when it's done. You can, of course, paint this if you want to make it more uniform. Give that a nice, more metallic metal, more rubbery black there. But we're just going as is. And I am not tempted to add color myself because that'll just make this thing look worse. I know me. I did assemble a wind blade transformers kit that had a lot more colors to it, but then when you look at the box, you can see that it's all painted already too. And that one looks a lot better, I think, painted than my unfurnished one, but it's still. Which way is which? Like that. So 14 is going to be on that side. And 13 on the other side. Thankfully, these pegs are semicircles that only line up a certain way on here, so can't mess up the orientation. I could orient if I put them on the wrong side. That was the important part. 1, 7, 11, and 12. Seven. 11 and 12. Okay. All right, that is the steering unit. Windshield unit, engine unit. Next is the seat unit. And this little piece of sprue going back in the box. You guessed it. One, four. J21. C2. 12, 11, and 7. Sometimes these instructions are not the. You just gotta figure it out as you're going. I apologize, my camera's a little stuttery. We're making do. D. And then sometimes assembling the pieces are blatantly obvious. All right, that is the seat unit. All right, next part is the front wheel unit. I need C1 and D2 sprues. Would have guessed that. These two. And then 2 and 4 from this brew. Not exactly holding together the best way, but we'll do our best here. Gotta make sure I'm actually sniffing out the flashing and not what could be a peg here. There is one notch I need to line up with. There we go. All right, there's the front wheel. Yeah, I don't think that worked. There it is. There's the notch. A little more more satisfying snaps. All right, that's a little more stable. Okay, next part, C3, 1 and 3. C1, 3. C3, 1. That isn't confusing at all. Okay. C3, 3. C3, 2. So and some D1 parts. Those two pieces. I assume this is supposed to be a brake pad, but how it attaches on there is not exactly obvious. Ah. Man, that took me longer than it should have. So I guess not a brake pad, but a handlebar mount. All right, front wheel unit done. Rear wheel unit time. Front wheel unit. I forgot to add these in. So we're going to see how easy it is to take apart. See, when I told you I'm still kind of an amateur when it comes to model kits. All right, I guess they were brake pads. Helps to have all the parts together. Okay, that's the front wheel unit. Doing this live, adding a lot of pressure. It adds a little bit of pressure, sure. So I know people are watching me. Thankfully, not 5 people are watching me, but you know, still, it's an audience. That always makes it a little bit more pressure, but not too bad. Especially since I know if I screw up, there are ways I can, like you saw with the chain earlier. And in the end, this is just a model kit. I'm not doing brain surgery or anything. Nobody's life is on the line. Really just go like that? I guess so. Oh, no, it doesn't go like that. It goes like that. Okay, okay. We're figuring it out. I think so far assembling the wheels has been the trickiest part. I just dipped in to say hello, see how you're doing, and have a dash off. Good luck. Well, thank you for dropping by, Talking Joe podcast. I think gotta. Starts to hum Under Pressure by Billy Joel and gets a strike. Isn't Under Pressure David Bowie and Queen? That's all right. I don't think me humming the song would come anywhere close to the algorithm for my copyrighted recording. I'm not that great at humming. I don't know how stable that is, but I think that's how it's supposed to be. Rear wheel unit. You are correct. Joel's song is spelled pressure. Well, Barking Fridge. All right, assembling instructions. Now we're on to the completion page. Just done this page, done this page. Now it's this time. Well, it's a good thing these parts labeled C26 and C29, which have very similar looking numbers, aren't also very similar looking pieces. E11. Wait, which is this part. And A111. I will say, though, as pressure-inducing as this may be, it actually gets me to put these things together. I've been sitting on this model kit for months, if I'm being honest. So it kind of forces me to actually use what I paid money for. Get it to stop just being there nagging me. Oh, man. I just realized the Arashikage hexagram that these decals are, that's not like clear vinyl with red bits on it. It's, it's the individual pieces. Oh, man. And yep, sticker 2 goes right there. Sticker 3 on that side. So rather than wait till the very end, we're going to assemble this decal right now. So you can see just how tedious it can be. Yes, Michael, that is just evil. And the back of the paper went with it, not the actual sticker. So let this be a warning to you. For this part, just painting it might be better. One down, 8 to go. Especially on stickers this tall, you really don't want to get your finger oils on it, but it kind of feels like that's inevitable. That would be useful for a person who want to do a battle damage version, though. I suppose you just want to give up halfway through. All right, the full line ones aren't so bad. I want it to feel level. I apologize to you watching this video right now. This is about as interesting as watching paint dry, I'm sure. And we got another one of these to do afterwards. I keep watching for some kind of Disney alert on your my Apple Watch. I do get those alerts, but I have not sent them to go to my watch. And the alerts I get are really just Disney Parks Play app telling me a trivia game has shown up that I don't care about. All right. Is that worth the effort? I don't know. It's shiny. I'll give it that. While I've got it, I'm going to put this sticker on here. Let's get that out of the way. These are very thin foil stickers. Make me very nervous. I think they're going to live with that. I think this was an actual challenge on Amazing Race to build a bike, a Ducati, I think. It's a good thing I was never on Amazing Race, huh? All right. Moving on, back to part 38. C2, 8, and 5. All right, that's that sprue done with. B1. Dang, I'm already done with this sprue. Didn't think it would go quite this quickly, but hey, I'm not complaining. Okay. A1, 8. A1, 9. All right, we know what part comes next now, right? Now they just need to make a Dreadnought Biker 5. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, now's the time to grab a drink or a snack, folks, because I'm going to be here a while. I'm watching you while I error check and correct my collection spreadsheet. That one, I forgot to update as I sold some figures, and two, got data in some of the lines jumbled somehow. So I'm with you for the long haul. Well, thank you, Michael. Yeah, that's the problem with keeping track of your collection in a written form of some way. You actually have to keep track of it. It's not automatic. You can't just scan a barcode. I suppose if you keep them all boxed, you could. But I don't, clearly. All right, last sticker. I just know if I ever do get the Storm Shadow one, I'm doing that again. Ooh. You're like, oh, it's only 3 stickers. It's not that bad. No, it is 19. And 18 of them are tiny. All right, here's where it all comes together. That is 4. That's 5. All right. Oh. I know this one was rear was missing a piece. Rear wheel. Why can I not say that? Rear wheel. A1 4 to 5. Alrighty. Oh, that covers up my little break in the chain nicely. You never know it's there. Unless you watch this video. Well, that's tricky. There's some pegs on here and have to line up here while also having these pegs line up here and here. It's not fun. And this peg right there. It was all in. It was in, and I had to press the issue. And there's a peg right there. Well, I think that's put together. This side keeps wanting to push in a little too far. And I just undid it. Oh, the hubris. It's all coming undone. Time for a little regroup here. Did I finally do it? I don't trust it. Oh. Now we're pulling out the machine guns. E6 and E3. E7, E2. I like having machine guns there. That's kind of cool. Serious firepower. Probably recommend putting the wheels on before the machine guns. Same with the headlight of the windshield unit. This is now pretty hard to see. All right, looks like a motorcycle, doesn't it? The snapping, clicking sound of clipping assembly. Yeah, it is kind of ASMR, isn't it? All right, now we got some these bad boys going on there. 6 and 9. Those two. Six. 9. And the stands 8 and 9. And then we got 2 more. All right, you can see now there's spots for all of his accessories to go on here. Right now with him, I've got one of his pistols, one of his knives, and his 2 long swords. So daggers, excuse me. Daggers go in here. Pistols. What's that? That doesn't seem safe at all. Yeah, that's where it goes. Okay. I don't trust that. And then on this part, you can swap out from here with the ones with the 2 peg holes on it. And his 2 scabbards. Remember, they're just plug swords on here. The real swords are a separate piece. But I like that option. And then this one, shouldn't that, or this one maybe. Yeah, this one's got a plug on this side for his big rocket launcher to go there. Just to let you know, the link to the Joe Declassified Facebook group in the description is messed up slightly, at least for me. My Chrome browser is reading the final parentheses as part of the link. All right, I will look into that. Thank you. And then his submachine gun and rifle can peg down here, it looks like. Oh yeah, there's a little slot in there, which is hard to see, but it is on the guns. So it can all be held there, which is nice, because previously he couldn't hold all his accessories, so storing it on the bike is a nice touch. I have to take a picture of it all decked out at some point, so you can see them all together. I really don't think that's a safe place to put a pistol, though. That seems sketchy. But there we go. This is a good question to ask. The swords are in place, and the rocket launcher, can they really fit? Yeah, I guess so. All right. So there he is on the bike. All right, now I know you're thinking, well, if you don't have the Bandai kit, is it still worth it? So let's pull out the old classified Snake Eyes from Wave 1. This is technically the field deco variant because there's no little red dot on his head. Oh yeah, and if you did watch the talking point, you'll know I broke the ankle as I assembled it while I replaced the piece. So he's got full range of motion. Just a follow-up for like a year or two ago. So it goes about to his waist, the very top part. Let's pull that one off, put this one back on. Well, you know, it's given that those mini bikes exist, this is not outside the realm of possibility, but it sure doesn't look all that threatening to see Snake Eyes riding it. So I'm going to go with no. It's not going to work there. That piece fell off. That's fun. Now you're seeing where you might potentially need to put some glue on here. Accessories just falling out all over the place. So, you know, I wouldn't recommend it for a classified figure. It's probably really just going to work at the slightly shorter scale of the Furai models. I did bring the Snake Eyes movie figure, which is, again, slightly shorter than classified, but still taller than the Furai model kit. Do you think 5.5 kids like this for Snake Eyes movie? Well, Michael, you're reading my mind here. So, give it a look. And aside from the fact his arms kind of have difficulty grabbing onto the handlebars, it's not as bad, but still, it's still a little small on him. But I will say that Snake Eyes line did have a motorcycle of its own in the line. So this is obviously very kid play with, you know, the buzzsaws here and missile attachment or something there. I can't remember. But, you know, a little paint. You can pop those off if you want and just make it a gun there. Where people complaining about soft plastic on the hands. Start to see its advantages when you got thick handlebars like that. Ideally, you don't have to take your hands off your action figure to get them positioned onto a motorcycle, but this is the world we're dealing with. That knife just does not want to stay in place. All right. So there we go. I think this is still your better Snake Eyes motorcycle option. Again, it's still not perfect. But, you know, it at least looks like it's more in scale. And they're also pretty cheap at the end there, so might still be pretty cheap if you're looking for it. Fiction plugs. There you are, side by side. I do like that this one has a kickstand built in, whereas this one has no option. You just have this little stand that plugs into the back wheel, but obviously you have to take it off for him to use it as a motorcycle, and in which case it's still on its own balancing. I do think this is a better design overall. This really is kind of bulky and a little simplistic, but depends on what you want. This is definitely cheaper to get. This one, if you got a good deal on it, go for it. Yeah. And there we go. Let me switch back. There we go. There's our two motorcycles. Let's see. Side by side. One's definitely a bigger one than the other. And comparing the box, actually is about just shy of actual size on the box. You can see they also did a little bit more painting than I did. I didn't do any painting, but this is just if you're using the decals out of the box and the plastic as it comes, versus if you're going for a premium finish with your own paints. So there we go. Assembled before your very eyes. All right. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to call it here. So like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Come back next month. We'll have another video for you guys to watch. And thank you for joining me.